But I think that's been the hardest part, because I think when you started traveling as an entrepreneur, I think with me as well, we were like the first wave of like the post Tim Ferriss sort of movements of, because that book is a little bit silly, but for its time, it really was revolutionary. Where I think it spoke to me, where it said, like, I don't want to wait to retire. I want to travel now. I want to live my life now. I don't want to do what my parents and grandparents did, that when they started working, all they could think of was when they could retire and live their lives. Like, a lot of us were like, Jesus, that sounds horrific. And so that's what that book really meant to me. That, like, I remember being 28, maybe 29, and reading it and thinking like, oh my God, I'm not alone. Like there are people out there that have this dread of consistent, stable employment as much as I do. And so, like I said, we were the first wave that seemed to be able to do this traveling, and there was no like there weren't dating apps, there weren't Airbnbs, like there weren't these communities that we kind of had to like foster them on our own. And like it was pretty tough, I think, for where now, like, you can find accommodations, you can find people, you can find all these things that I think it makes it a lot easier. Have you experienced that as well?
Yeah, for sure. It's a lot more. It's a much more heavier trodden path now. It's a lot more common. Like you say, when that book first came out, the idea was quite new. Not as many people were doing it, certainly.
Right. Well, everybody thought I was nuts, like including me. Like, Canada, I don't know how the UK is, but Canada has, we consider, like, tall poppy syndrome, right? Like, poppies all grow at the same height. If there's someone's growing too high, like, they get cut. And like, I know everybody thought I was nuts. Like, one of my first business ideas that failed was like a shoe site for women, right? Like, my only thing was like, this is how basic it was. Who buys everything online? Women. What do they buy? Shoes. Well, I should probably make a site about women's shoes. Duh.
Market research done.
Yeah, done. Didn't read anything, didn't think of it. And also, like we said, well, this should be easy.
Yeah.
And like, it was called heartmyshoes.com, and like, I had this big elaborate idea behind it. I think I told you a lot of this. And it cost me a bunch of money to build, like money I almost didn't have. And if I knew then what I knew now, I probably could have turned it into something a lot more successful. Like, I got a couple sales, but I kind of just ran out of money, and I had to pivot and try another business idea. Like, and I even hired an agency in Toronto that I could have hired someone in Poland, and it would have cost me a quarter of the price. But I had no idea how to do these things. But like, just reading these books really gave me the impetus of like, let's go and do it. And then, my friends, because I asked my friends, girlfriends, their wives, every woman I ever knew in my life, that to take a photo of their shoes and upload it and create their own account. Like, I'm sure everyone thought I had a foot fetish, like, for like, without a doubt. And they thought I was nuts, but I kind of kept like learning through failing and spending, honestly, way too much money on these projects. So to the point that when I was living in Barcelona, like 5 or 6 years later, a friend from high school who like knew I went through this journey, but we had kind of lost touch. We had met up for dinner because he was in town for some sort of conference, and he's like, "Oh, so like, are you teaching English here? Like, what are you doing here?" And like, I totally realized, like, oh my God, like he has no idea what's going on. And I explained, like, going through the e-commerce journey, like selling a company, going through this, like all these adventures, and he just couldn't believe it, because like again, in Canada, if you're doing something different, unless you can show that you've been successful to do it and prove it, like, you're just a weirdo. Like, maybe it's more acceptable now because like entrepreneurship and doing your own thing has been kind of galvanized to the front of what is acceptable, and it provides this lifestyle in some cases. But back then, honestly, I think everyone thought at one point I'd be institutionalized.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's very true what you're saying, that these things are a lot more accessible now.